I'm on Fraser Island's breathtaking east coast at the rugged Ngkala rocks. The track around the headland is a notorious spot for getting bogged.
This area around here is very, very soft, and this vehicle up here has got a wee bit stuck, so they've tried to get out for a little while here, but they haven't been able to, so we're going to cruise on up and see if we can pull him backwards.
In the stranded Amarok is Jimmy, a public servant from Brisbane, travelling with his wife Maddie and their 6-month-old daughter Florence. This is their first trip to Fraser Island, and it's not going well. To make matters worse, friends in a Land Cruiser have tried to drive around them, and they've also got stuck.
Okay guys, so the danger when you're pulling someone else out is that you might just get stuck yourself. So what we've done is we've dropped some exit tracks on the track beforehand that I've just driven onto, and that should mean that I'm not going to get stuck while I'm trying to pull him out. I think he's very, very bogged, so we're going to try and pull him out backwards and onto some firmer ground so that he can get going.
I disengage my winch and drag the synthetic rope to the crippled V-dub.
It's not bad enough getting recovered, it's getting recovered on TV. That sucks, doesn't it? Now guys, this vehicle doesn't have any rear recovery points, so we're going to do some dodgy brothers. We're going to actually put our bridle around the rear axle. Now that's not going to go anywhere, but it's certainly not something that I would recommend doing. In a winch recovery, we do it nice and slowly. Nothing's going to happen, nothing's going to break.
A set of Max tracks fail to help. They throw those away while I attach a strap around the axle.
So we've got the cruiser off to the side here. The challenge is that because he's on a side slope, if he tries to go forwards or backwards, he's actually going to smack into the Amarok here. So not a good situation, but that's okay because we can pull him out backwards and sort it all out. In terms of when we're pulling you back, probably just like really gentle acceleration, but try to let the winch do most of the work.
We start our car up to make sure we're charging that battery, and I'll take up some tension, apply the brakes and pull him on back. And the VRS is doing its thing. It's quite amazing. That vehicle would probably be 2.5 tonne easy, 2.6, and we have whipped him back onto the tracks.
It's easy as that when you have the right gear and the right rig to do the job.
Thanks very much, Pat. No worries. Pleasure.
And with that, Jimmy, Maddie and Florence are on their way, flying across the trail with their tails wagging. They make it. And now it's my turn to punch through.
And off we go. Wow, this is soft up here. Challenging driving, I tell you. You do not want to get stuck here. It's soft, it's fluffy, and it goes on and on and on. And in certain situations in the sand like this, you do need to keep it fairly well pinned. Good thing is it's nice and flat, so you're not going to bounce around the cabin too much. And we are through.
Coming up behind me is our crew car. Fort Everest is also loving the thick, soft sand. She's rocking and rolling and floating across the headland. Because of the delay helping Jimmy, it's a toss-up whether I'll get all the way to the north.
The tide is definitely racing towards the rocks here.
Fortune is on our side, and we're through the final hurdle. At this time of the year, the rest of the beach is wide enough, so we have a clear path now to the remote north.
This is it, Sandy Cape. I absolutely adore this place. You might want to know why. Well, I think it's because nature plays such a big part in this area. You can just see crazy things going on the water, on the land. You've got the sand dunes, you've got these gorgeous trees that have died because the sand has overtaken them. And it is just visually spectacular, and today she's pretty popular as well.
Today, about half a dozen vehicles have braved Ngkala rocks and the other challenges along the way to experience Sandy Cape. It's a primo spot to cast a line and catch a tan, and the girls are doing most of the fishing today. From the air, you get a real sense of where I'm at. Look at the giant bare sand dunes running inland and parallel to the sea.
That water is the very definition of turquoise. The clarity in it is just gorgeous. It is so special up here.
But the water has come in too far for me to attempt to go around the Cape any further.
Well, this is the end of the line as far as the tide's concerned right now. We can't really get any further. Wouldn't really be safe to do so, but I could think of worse places to pull up.
This is where it's handy to have an awning to pull out and shield you from the sun. I set up camp and take it all in. Exceptional, idyllic, breathtaking. Just a few of the words that come to mind. You'd be crazy not to dive in. And I'm not the only one lapping up Fraser's northern brilliance. Turtles are drifting with the tide. There are schooling fish, and a white-bellied sea eagle enjoys a fishy snack. This is a bountiful coastline. As we wait for the tide to go out, the sky to the west seems to be erupting with a storm and the smoke from the fire.
I can tell you, Fraser Island, there's something going on all the time. Just have a look at this. It is gloriously ominous. The fire has kicked off again and sent these huge plumes up into the sky.
2 hours before low tide, I attempt the final stretch across the top of the island. There's just enough room to get around menacing spikes of driftwood. This afternoon, this side of the Cape is completely sheltered from the wind.
Fraser Island North Beach on a run-out tide. If there's a prettier place to beach drive in Australia, whew, I tell you what, this one will be in the top 5, maybe top 2. It's a cracker of a drive.
Right now, it's just me and a dingo on the sand. When the sun is out, the sea seems to explode into every imaginable shade of blue. I've come to see the famous Sandy Cape Lighthouse. Built in 1870, she's the oldest in Queensland. She's solar powered these days and sits 120 metres above sea level. The trip brings a dramatic change in the weather. But this day, which began in brilliant sunshine and is ending with a gale and a raging sea, is coming to an end. Fraser is throwing everything it has our way, and I am loving every minute of it. Next, 70 different shades of sand. The cracking story behind the wreck of the Maheno.
That its name is Maheno, the Maori word for island.
And floating on a dream stream.
You feel a little bit like a platypus floating downstream here.
That will wash your troubles away. And where to find some me time.
I am the only bugger here.
And make sure you check out the Mr 4x4 app at mr4x4.com.au.